Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Alright, so we've got the 8 flash on the low fuel sensor problem. Let's just have a little look. This is on 98 to 2001 R1s. Alright, so let's have a look. So we've got when I put the ignition on, the Japanese wiggle, you'll see the low fuel sensor there. It'll flash 8 times and then it'll stop for a couple of times, a couple of flashes, and then it will start flashing again. Okay, and it does that continuously when you're riding the bike. Now, you may have seen a previous video of mine where I changed the sensor in the tank because that had gone kaput and there was absolutely no readings from it when you put a meter across it. So I took it apart and I put a new thermistor in there and it worked perfectly. You know, when the fuel went down, the light came on, and then on the trip meter here it said how many miles I've done on the low tank. It worked perfectly. But yesterday this problem started again. And I'm not quite sure what the issue can be. Righto, so let's have a little look. So I've disconnected this is from the tank. This is the sender unit from the tank. And this is the power, I would imagine 12 volt supply to the sender unit. Alright, okay, so let's just see if there's any value coming from the can you see that okay? Oh, what's going on? Right, let's see if we got any value coming from the actual sender unit. We should get a reading. Before, when I did this before, it was just an open line. There was just absolutely no reading whatsoever, but we should get some value. What we got? 792 kiloohms. Alright, okay, I'll go with that. That's fine. So we know there's a full tank of fuel. So, okay, it should be a reading like that anyway. Alright, so let's now see if we got power going to this plug, because that should really be 12 volts going to it. I'm assuming it should be 12 volts. Let me just put the ignition on. Let's just set this to voltage, shall we? There we go. That's set to voltage. Let's have a little look. So this should be 12 volts. Can you see that all right? With my big fat hands in the way. What we got? Just about nothing. 0. Okay. That's weird. So it's either a fuse. Hang on, see if the ground. Let me put it onto ground. Find another ground. There we go. Hang on a minute. Okay, so we've got 12 volts. Right. So. Okay, so we've got 12 volts coming to the plug. It's an issue with the ground, with the earth wire. Righto, okay. Let's turn the ignition off a sec. Let's get that turned off. Let's put this onto continuity. Righto. So then we should have, if I put this onto the earth wire here, it should beep if we've got a connection. Nothing. Righto. So, well, that's that then, isn't it? We've got a problem with the ground. Well, the plug looks alright. The back of the plug looks okay. So now I've got to trace this little sucker back and try and find out where the ground is for this, or why this doesn't work. Okay, folks. Right, I shall do a little bit of investigation, then I shall come back. Folks, well, I'm still scratching my head a little bit. I've been round with the old continuity tester from the little plug onto the ground, nothing. And then I've put an extended bit of wire from the ground on here to the battery, nothing. And I've also checked this little plug at the front. I mean, if you've got a R1 or Yamaha, you know about this big sucker down here. Usually it gets forgotten and it goes a little bit green, but when I got the bike I pulled this apart. I had to use a screwdriver, but I eventually got it apart, cleaned it all up and put some Vaseline in there, and it's been perfect ever since. Same with all these other connectors down here. but still no continuity between that ground and this plug. I thought there might be 1 or 2 grounds there, but no, still no beep beep noise. So what we're going to have to do, well, I've got a couple of options here. Because it's a ground that's the issue, I mean really, because it's just the ground I've got the issue with, I could just make a new ground wire from there and then somewhere onto the bike, couldn't I? Just put a ground wire and it's job done. That's the cop-out way really, and I don't see any reason why that wouldn't work. But what I might do, I might either take the tank off now and get me head in there and see if there's any like ground points in there that need cleaning up. Apart from that, I might have to resort to that. Just take the connector out, put a new wire on there, and then just run a new wire to ground and clamp it down somewhere. Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm still scratching my head looking around this bike. The funny thing is, right, okay, we haven't got continuity between this ground and the battery or the body of the bike. However, if I go further up the loom, we've got let's say for instance the fuel pump. All right, there's continuity between the ground on the fuel pump and the body, yeah, and the other sensors. If you go further up the loom, it's just this one, and I really don't know why this is giving me so much hassle. So I can't, all the loom is supported, it's not chafing on anything, it hasn't rubbed through the wire or anything like that, and I'm really quite surprised. So what I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to take the pin out of here and solder a wire and extend the ground cable down here up the loom and probably make a fixing onto here, and then see how we get on from there. Okay, so what I've done here then is, okay, I won't win any prizes for soldering, but what I did, I've piggybacked another earth cable, right, ground off there. I just put a screwdriver down the end of the connector and just pulled the pin out, and then soldered a bit of wire onto the connector, put the ground wire, put that new cable down here, okay, and then, sorry, try and get it in focus, you can see it follows the loom, and then it stops about here. Yeah, and I've just put a little loop in it, and I've made this little eyelet up because I haven't got any proper connectors. Yeah, sorry, another bit of a bodge, but I've tinned it anyway, and then that will sit on there, and then the little piece of plastic trim sits on top of that, and we can screw it down, and then we can see if it all works now. So hopefully the light won't flash. Okay, so that's all back in place now. The little trim's in place, and the earth cable's under there. Alright, so now we've got the cable connected up. Let's go and check it. Let's just go and have a quick look and put the ignition on, and then we'll see if it flashes. It should come on and go off. Yeah, good. Just give it a second. Is she going to flash? Hey, good stuff. Alright, yeah, I reckon that's a winner then. Right, so the problem then was, as you can see, the problem was the ground wire. Like I say, alright, it was a bit of a cop-out not trying to find out where the broken wire is, but you know, it wasn't. It's not like I'm running a great big long wire to the battery, is it, or anything like that. It's only that little jumper wire to this little screw. So yeah, okay folks, so yeah, so if you get 8 flashes on your dash on the fuel light, and it won't go out, then just check the ground, just check the connection, just to make sure that you've got a good ground up at the connector. Alright folks, well thanks for watching. I'll get this bike back together now, and then we shall see you in the next video. Cheers.